That it's 14 past 11. Well, one thing that gets people shaken all over is kids, especially when they have their own, because when you do become a parent, most of the time it doesn't come with an instruction book, although people have attempted to write that book of instructions many a time over the years, and one such person is Brad Everton, psychologist here on the Sunshine Coast, just released his book called On Track Parenting. Brad, good morning.
Good morning, Cam, and thank you for inviting me onto the show today.
And what makes you think you might have hit the right numbers on this one?
Very good question. Cam, I always say that nobody's perfect and we're all learning. I actually encourage people to invest in lifelong learning, and I'm a lifelong learner myself too. But the idea behind the book was mostly from my clients. I've had clients over many years, and through sharing the on-track tools, tips and strategies to them, have suggested that I actually put it in a book. So,
good idea.
Yeah, so that's where a lot of the inspiration has come from.
I suppose the biggest thing when becoming a parent is the fear. You have to get over the fear first, because it's all new, isn't it? You've got no idea. Unless you've got mum there, your own mother standing by to give you a helping hand.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right, Cam. And the important thing around it too, when it comes to those types of skills, like many of the life skills, parenting skills, relationship skills, if we think of some of those really important skills, as I often say to people, they're not taught formally. And I'm such a big believer that we should. I believe these types of skills, relationship skills, parenting skills, mindset skills, a lot of those important skills should be taught at a very early age. And in some ways, that's the goal and the objective of on-track parenting, is to teach the parents these tools, tips and strategies so they can then share that with their kids.
Yeah, so have a look at the book, or at least try and get some advice before you go and have your first child.
Oh, look, I think it's all about getting as much information, as much knowledge as you can get. And there's many ways. I actually encourage people to get mentors. I know I've got mentors in the big areas of my life, and the broadly speaking, the big areas. I know there's other areas, but the big areas that I sum up with people are career, relationships, health and finances.
With parenting, though, how much of it comes naturally?
A lot of it comes intuitively. A lot of it comes from the way we were brought up. And as parents, I think it's so important for us to recognise that we're responsible not just for one generation, possibly two or more. There's more than a good chance that our kids will raise their kids the way that they've been raised.
Yeah, and there's no one that says that your parents did the right thing in raising you.
Absolutely.
Because, we hear that old thing, oh, yeah, my parents did this way and it was there. But sometimes that's not the right way.
You're absolutely correct there, Cam. And the thing is, we live in this modern world and this changing world, and things are changing all the time. So as parents, it's a case of having to adopt, be flexible, and embracing this whole concept in terms of parenting, which is, by the way, I truly believe, the toughest job in the world.
Yeah, just to, I know my parents used to say, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about, and if you're not bleeding and your arm and legs aren't broken, then don't bother me. Yeah. What sort of, is that the sort of thing that people do still these days, or is it a bit different nowadays? Do we coddle a bit more, wrap kids up in cotton wool? We seem to tend to do that a bit these days, don't we?
I think a lot of parents are confused. I think there's just a lot of information out there. There's just so much out there in some ways that it just becomes so overwhelming. And so many parents don't know where to start. And I think that's the difficulty. And the important thing is to have some kind of map, to have our navigational system. And if we can have a navigational system, if we can have a solid foundation, if we can have a solid framework from which to build from, that's a great launching pad, not just for us as parents, but it's great for our kids too. Yeah. But also to have clarity around that too. Know exactly what we're aiming to accomplish.
Yeah, and a book's always a great thing to have, because if you haven't got a clue, read about it.
Oh, look.
Can give you a few good ideas, can't it?
Totally agree, Cam. It is about adding more tools to our toolkit. And in essence, that's what I encourage people to do, to keep adding as many tools to your toolkit as possible. And what that will do is when we do experience the problems and the difficulties and the challenges, and it's not if we experience those challenges and problems and difficulties, it's when we experience those. But if we keep adding more tools to our toolkit, it's actually going to give us better options. As parents, it allows us to become better problem solvers.
Yeah, and perhaps take away a bit of that fear too if you had a bit of foreknowledge.
Definitely.
Brad, thanks for joining us today. The interesting book, On Track Parenting. Brad Everton on Sunshine FM. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Cam. Really appreciate it.
11 Sunshine FM.